Hello and welcome to Off My Shelves, and in this episode we're going to be looking at Black Hammer, the library editions by Dark Horse Comics, written by Jeff Lemire and drawn by Dean Ormston. So we'll get underway. So continuing our look at Dark Horse Comics, because this July 2021 is marking 35 years since they started publishing comics, so we are looking at Dark Horse all throughout the month of July 2021, and one of my favourite Dark Horse books at the moment is certainly Black Hammer by Jeff Lemire, and these two are volumes 1 and 2 of the library editions of this amazing series, really. But before we go too much into the story, as ever, we're going to look quickly at the build of these books. Each of the books do come with a dust jacket, and underneath the dust jacket is the same art that's on the dust jacket. There is literally no difference whatsoever. All the same graphics are featured, everything. The binding on both of them is perfect, as you would imagine with Dark Horse Library editions. They come with a nice ribbon bookmark, and in general they're just really well made, well rounded books, really. So the size of them are obviously library edition size, so they're a bit bigger than deluxe editions and omnibuses, and a little bit smaller than an absolute. They're the midway point between the two, really. But either way, they're fabulously made books, and the only difference between volume 1 and volume 2 is that there's a matte finish on the dust jacket and on the boards of Black Hammer volume 1, whereas there's a glossy finish on the dust jacket and the boards of volume 2. No idea why they've done that, but you can't really notice it when they're on the shelves or anything like that, so it's not a massive thing. It's just for you guys to know, really. So volume 1 contains issues 1 to 13 of Black Hammer and Black Hammer the Giant Sized Annual, and this really is the start of the Black Hammer universe. You will see on the channel and in other places library editions called The World of Black Hammer, which are offshoots of this main universe that's started here, really, and we'll get more in detail on them in a different video. We're just going to focus on the main Black Hammer storyline for now. So the art for the most part is done by Dean Ormston, even though now and again other artists like David Rubin and other people come in over the course of the issues, but in general his art is just fabulously kind of done, really. It's quite stylized, and sometimes you'll get a certain page that really does blow you away. It's kind of does the job really effectively all the way through, but then now and again a big splash page or a certain panel will come in and it'll really blow your socks off. The book itself, it starts out with one of our main characters, Abraham Slamowski, or Abraham Slam, talking about being on a farm and being stuck here for 10 years on this farm. And so what the story is essentially is a cast of superhero characters that have found themselves suddenly on a farm. The characters themselves are Abraham Slam, Madam Dragonfly, Golden Gale, Barbalian, the alien from Mars, Colonel Randall Weird, and his assistant robot Talkie Walkie. Now all of these characters are inspired by DC and Marvel characters, and it's very much a love letter to those characters. It pulls inspiration from all of the superhero characters. So for instance, Abraham Slam, you could say he's inspired by Captain America, but he's a kind of combination of lots of different superheroes in DC and Marvel. And the same for Madam Dragonfly. She is kind of this sorcerer, so you can see some Doctor Strange elements, but you can also see lots of horror and other elements in her. And again, all of these characters, you can look into them and figure out who they're supposed to be and where the inspiration came from, but equally it doesn't affect you reading it at all. If you've never read a superhero comic, then you knowing what this character or that character was inspired by is not a big issue whatsoever. Our characters have found themselves on this mysterious farm, and they've been there now for 10 years. So 10 years prior to being on the farm, they were battling against Anti-God, who is kind of like Darkseid of this universe. They were battling him in the main city, Spiral City, and Black Hammer, who is the hero that given his name to the book series, struck him with his large hammer, and everything went bright, and our heroes ended up on this farm. As soon as they arrived, Black Hammer tried to escape because he didn't know if the battle had ended or if Spiral City was safe, but they realised quite early on with the death of Black Hammer that they can't escape, because when Black Hammer tries to escape, he is literally kind of ripped to pieces by this invisible force and energy that's surrounding the farm and the nearby town. And so they've spent the last 10 years trying to figure out what this place is, how they can get out, all these types of things. But there's certain characters like Golden Gale, who is very much a Shazam inspired character. When she says a magic word, she doesn't turn into a grown up with super strength, she turns into a kid with super strength. But she's permanently that child, so she is incredibly angry about being stuck as a child, even though she's a 55-year-old woman, and so she's got major issues of being stuck on this farm. But either way, 10 years down the line, all our cast of heroes are pretty much in the same boat that they were when they arrived on day one. They don't know anything about where they are, they can't escape certain boundaries, so that mystery is very much at the heart of these books. And in fact, mystery and uncovering mysteries is very much the centre theme, really, because you're instantly introduced to this cast of heroes that you know nothing about, and so clawing away their backstory through flashbacks as you go through the issues is one of the main things. So uncovering the mysteries behind each one of these heroes, but also then uncovering the larger mystery of what the farm actually is. So Talkie-Walkie actually sends out a probe to try and let people know they're alive and find out if the real world still exists, because they literally know nothing. All they remember is that last fight with Anti-God and then waking up on the farm. That probe manages to bring a person to hopefully they rescue, and that lady is Lucy Webber, who is the daughter of Black Hammer, who died trying to escape. And so she is a journalist and she has tracked them down, and again she adds herself to this cast of characters really, and her story is one of the main story arcs throughout this entire series. But I can't really say too much about any of it because it's so reliant on you as a reader uncovering those mysteries and uncovering these characters for yourselves, that any dump of information that I'll give you will possibly ruin the series a little bit. I will say as well that Colonel Randall Weird is one of the main characters, and his ability to travel into another dimension called the Parazone is an essential part of this story, but it also brings in and introduces a very psychedelic and interesting element to this whole story, because it introduces the elements of multiple dimensions and all that, and him travelling between them and multiple timelines. And so there's many different things going on, and certainly when each issue focuses on one of the different cast of characters, you get different elements from each of them really. So for instance, when it's looking at Barbalian, who is inspired by the Martian Manhunter, you get flashbacks to his time on Mars, why and how he came first to Earth, and so his story is quite unique. When you look at Colonel Weird and his travels through space and the Parazone, his stories are quite unique. When you look at Madame Dragonfly, hers have got this kind of Tales of the Crypt element to them. And so yeah, you've got very much kind of all of these different superheroes, and they bring their own personality to the backstories that are introduced. The writing is so well done in this as well, because every time it's about to tell you something, it jumps off in a totally different direction, but it doesn't frustrate you, which is hard to do, because when you were asking a reader to invest in a mystery and then you were about to uncover that mystery for them, but then you take it away and walk off in a different direction, it can be quite frustrating. But that happens a few times in this series, and it's not frustrating at all. It's quite nice actually, because you want to find out more, and the tease of it is quite a nice tease. It's not a frustrating tease, if you get my meaning. So volume 2 I can't really say too much about at all, because the opening story and opening pages of volume 2, and in fact most of it is a direct spoiler for volume 1, and I really don't want to do that, so I'm not going to focus too much on volume 2. But volume 2 contains Black Hammer Age of Doom 1 to 12, the one-shot Cthulhu Louise, and the World of Black Hammer Encyclopedia. So even though they renumber it a Black Hammer Age of Doom 1 to 12, it is still very much a continuation of the first volume and not a separate story altogether. They literally end it and continue directly on in here as well. And so you get a full Black Hammer story in both of these, and the encyclopedia at the back of this one is great as well. The amount of effort that's gone into it is crazy. Don't use it as a reference point though, because there's definitely loads of spoilers, but it's so well done. It goes through the different periods of heroes, goes through every hero and all the different dimensions and the backstory of everything. And yeah, the farm at Rockwood, it tells you all about that. And yeah, it's just really well done and really well paced, and the amount of love that's gone into it is clear to see really, to be fair. If you like to find out about new and interesting superheroes and find out about their backstory and claw away at all the kind of, the intricacies of their lives, while a backdrop of this big, weird and wonderful mystery is playing out, then you're going to love Black Hammer, I think. And like I say, there are mini-series that have come out of the backs of these, and they are collected in library editions as well, and they are collected in the World of Black Hammer, and we will be doing a video on those very shortly on the channel as well. But you can certainly read these Volume 1 and Volume 2 without reading them, but if you were to insert Volume 1 right here, you would get slightly more from the later story arcs that play out in Volume 2. Now, I can't say more than that, but I might get into more detail on that on the World of Black Hammer episode. But either way, that is all I've got to say on this, because I don't want to say anything more because I don't want to spoil it. So thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.